if we have a string of bad luck, if we have a string of a few fuck ups, that's when we need you guys to realize we need help. If I had to guess why men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, it's because they feel like they don't have support, especially in those moments.
Mm.
Because I've been, I've had my moments of borderline suicidal thoughts. And it's when you feel like the whole world's on your shoulders and the whole world's trying to beat you down. And that's the very last thing you need is your woman to beat you down.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you're building all of it for us.
Correct.
Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Deserve Men. This name was coined with my friend, David Corsini. And I'm super excited to have him here today to further our conversations that we have been having about men and women and see where it leads. So, David is a friend, he is a serial entrepreneur, he is just an all-around badass, has an amazing, cute little boy, and I'm excited to be here and to dive in. Welcome, David.
Thank you. I'm just as excited to be here. Yeah, we've had some really cool conversations, and I know we were talking and it sprouted this new concept and idea and title for the podcast, which I'm super excited for you to bring forth to the world.
Yeah, thank you. I was telling David that it felt like there was a piece of the podcast missing, and it just felt a little bland to me. I felt like I was holding back, playing a little bit safe. And often in my conversations with you and other people, I say this phrase that I feel like most women, we don't really deserve men. The more I learn about men, the more I feel like we don't deserve you. And it's super controversial when I say that, especially around other women. And it just comes up in almost every single conversation, and it felt, no, this is the kind of through line or kind of overview of what I really want to say and bring to the world. Thank you for helping pull that out of me and birth this new idea.
You're welcome. And I think anytime we have a desire, and it keeps coming up, there's something divine about it, right? Desire is divine. And sometimes we try to not trigger people or play it safe, try not to hurt people's feelings. But on the flip side, the truth shall set you free. There's a reason why. That's like a major quote of the Bible. Whether you believe in that shit or not, the truth shall set you free. And sometimes what people need to hear isn't what they want to hear. So I thank you for taking a leap of faith and actually delivering what a lot of people need to hear.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we started recording, actually, let's back up a second. Before we dive into all the fun stuff, why don't you give a little bit more about your background, who you
Uh,
are, why you give a fuck about this topic? Like,
that probably helps.
yeah.
Let's. So I've started a few different businesses and I'm probably just an entrepreneur at heart. Always have been. I am currently a single father. It's been about a year since my ex and I completed that chapter together. And we actually did it in a very beautiful way. And we've been co-parenting very well to all things considered. It's exceeding my expectations. And my son, I get to see him 50% of the time. He's 2.5. And through it, he's still thriving. So it feels like we did something right together. And even though we weren't meant to continue our relationship, there was a reason for it. And there was a reason for it ending. And I've studied a lot of personal development stuff. By that, I've spent 6 figures on my personal development, going through business, personal, learning relationship stuff, and really diving to the deep depths of my own psychology, trauma I had, not even just trauma, but generational patterns, generational teachings that really affected me, especially in relationships. So going through that, learning about it, becoming aware, healing it, and a lot of people talk about healing trauma, and you also have to start creating new patterns and habits and essentially create yourself anew. So I feel like I've gone through a lot of different, like how the Apple iOS operating system updates every once in a while. I've gone through a lot of those updates personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to call it the 2.0 or 3.0 or
I'm on
4.0.
37.6 or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Exactly. The never-ending evolution of who we get to be in the world. Yeah.
Of course. I
Yeah.
love how you said that, because this morning with one of my business partners, I said Abe, and he was like, "What?" ABE, always be evolving.
Abe. I like that.
Abe,
Yeah.
Abe.
Short and sweet.
Whenever life smacks you in the face, just Abe.
I feel like we need to make t-shirts. That's going to be the
Yeah.
new thing. That's
Abe.
going to be the hot new thing. I feel like we should start presenting that to Gen A? Where we're at. I don't know what the
Oh,
Gen
the
Z,
next.
Gen A.
I don't. Is that what it is? Gen A?
I think, isn't it Generation Alpha?
I, maybe. I have. For those of you out there, I have no idea what generation my son is.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a name for that yet.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know about you, but we're millennials. And I constantly see stuff on the internet about Gen Z making fun of millennials because we're old now and not cool or hip or whatever. And they have all of these new slang words that I have no idea what they mean at all.
Bro,
Like, I'm totally.
I think that was us creating shit out of nowhere.
And so I saw a video of a millennial teacher who has been going into his classes with Gen Z kids, and he's like gaslighting them with new slang terms that he's just making up. And he'll just say them, and then he's, "What? You guys don't know what that means? You don't know what that is? Oh my gosh." And just
You guys are so old. You know what I've noticed?
what?
Millennials are the generation that's finally hacked aging gracefully. We don't fucking. All of you right now, pause this podcast, look up Cheers, the actual poster of the show Cheers.
Okay.
All those people were late 20s, early 30s, looked like they're in their fucking 40s. I swear to God, go look at this. They were all younger than us, me and you, Kayla. And they literally look a decade or two, each of them older than us. So I feel like we need to get some recognition for being the graceful aging generation.
Okay. All right, I'll have to look it up. That makes me feel a little bit better. I'm totally at the phase of early 30s where I'm noticing that I have wrinkles and panicking and being like, "Should I do Botox? Do I need to do things like this?" No, I know.
No,
Every single man says no.
every time my ex used to say she wanted Botox, I'm like, why? You're
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, but I've got this shit. I'm like, okay. Hey, girls out there, guys don't care. Just throwing it out there.
Okay, you say that guys don't care. And like, how old is your ex?
So she's turning 32.
Okay, great. She and I are the same age. Now, we're still young enough, you know what I mean? Where I know I still look good. My wrinkles aren't super pronounced. I'm getting some. And I feel like men, the way I rationalize it, okay, because my boyfriend tells me the same thing. You don't need it, don't do it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so it seems like men don't care. But then if you are looking at photos of celebrities or you're like, oh, she's so hot or whatever, and it's not like J-Lo or Jennifer Aniston or I don't know, Shakira or whoever, right? And you look and they're much older and they look awesome. They 100% have done some type of work. Now they've kept it minimal, right? So that it doesn't completely change their face structure, things like that. But then I think it's hard for women because you tell us directly that you don't care. But then when you call out women who are much older that you think are really attractive, they 100% have had work done.
There are also older women that are very attractive that haven't had work done.
Maybe those are just not the
I'm
examples that we're
I'm
getting.
sure if Shakira and J-Lo never had work done, they would still be really attractive.
I mean,
You know why men love Shakira? Because her hips don't lie. It has nothing to do with the wrinkles or anything.
yeah. Yeah.
J-Lo, same thing, except instead of the hips, it's behind the hips.
My understanding, men care about you are much more visual beings than women are. And
Yep.
yeah, and so how we look it does matter. And more
100%.
than it yeah. And by my account, it's how we look and also our feminine expression that makes us attractive. Here's another question around the age thing is there's a lot of men that you see going for a lot younger women, right? They're in their 40s or whatever, dated 50s, dating 20-year-olds. I think that a lot of women, when they're much younger, tend to be more feminine because they haven't become jaded by life and all of the weight of responsibility. And when you are physically stressed, for women, pretty much impossible for us to be feminine. When we have a lot of stress, that just like negates our ability to be feminine. We just go into masculine and controlling and the overwhelm. That's what happens. So I think part of it is that men are attracted to the femininity that still exists in younger women. I think a lot of women, myself included, wonder if men, part of that is also looks. Because
Well,
obviously we're
there are a
hotter
lot
when
of
we're younger.
there are a lot of younger men that like older women. When I was younger, I actually through my life, I've probably been with more older women than I've been with younger women.
Why is that?
I've been that way. But the biggest gap was 15 years difference. So 15 years older than me. I think I was 24 or 25.
Wow. How was that?
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted. And there's something to also be said. There's a book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data, right? Yeah.
Yes.
David, because I remember because he's got the best name in the world. David talks about the difference between the younger femininity and the older femininity, and that they both have their own beauty. They're different,
Hmm.
right? So the thing is, being okay with who you are, where you're at right now, is also beautiful. Stepping into that, being comfortable 100% and confident in that is leaps and bounds more attractive than the women that have done work and don't feel confident, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You talked about J-Lo. Do you want to have the relationship history J-Lo's had? Because that woman does not seem like she's happy.
Yeah, totally.
Now, beautiful as much as you want, every guy wants her. Yet when they're with her, they gotta fucking run. Why? If I had to guess, she's not completely comfortable in who she is, right?
Hmm.
She's
Yeah.
probably rolling. She probably stresses herself out, thinks she's always got to be more and more. You don't have to be more than who you are. You got to be who you are and comfortable in that.
Yeah.
Now, as a woman, you're more emotional, and that's understandable. So I'm not going to say you're going to feel completely comfortable every single day. But on average, in actuality, knowing who you are and being okay with that, it's beautiful in and of itself. And let me tell
Yeah.
you another thing. If your man decides to leave you because you ended up getting wrinkles, that probably wasn't supposed to be your man or woman, depending on what you like, right?
Yeah. No, totally. I agree. And I think it's interesting because confidence is by far the most attractive quality in any human, right? And it's interesting getting, for me at least, getting to an age where I'm like, I actually didn't even notice when I started getting wrinkles. Like other people, other women started pointing them out to me and telling me that I needed to
Why
have
do
work
women
done.
do that shit to each other?
Uh, Yeah. Because to me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I see myself every day, like briefly in the mirror. And I'm like, I look pretty much the same as I did yesterday. And I've gone through, I think the biggest change I've actually had is my face has gotten more thin. Like, I used to have, my friends used to say that I had Kanye cheeks. I
Okay.
know.
I
And
pictured it. I gotcha.
yeah, I can show you some photos later. But my, like, body shape and weight, like, it has fluctuated throughout different periods of my life, but for the most part, we were just talking about how we, can still wear the same clothes we did a decade ago, and so I've been the same size, but my face shape has changed, and that's the only thing that I notice when I look at photos, like, now versus 6 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, is my face is just a little thinner. But yeah, like other women is how I discovered that I had wrinkles and started feeling like, "Oh no, am I supposed to do something about this?"
You've
It
also
is
put women don't deserve women.
I know. It's interesting, right? Because there's this narrative that men are are these really intense judges of women, but actually women judge themselves and other women way more harshly than men would ever judge women, especially physically speaking.
Yeah. We point out obvious shit, but we don't go nitpicking.
Right. Totally. Yeah. Anyway.
There is
Also,
cooler talk, right? Quote unquote cooler talk.
okay.
But men are very simple minded women. You guys give us way too much credit thinking that we think deeply about the shit we say. There's normally is not much going on when we're speaking.
That's not necessarily true, I don't think. You guys do think things through. Sometimes I actually think that men, you think before you speak more so than women do.
Contextually.
Okay.
So if we're in a like business setting and like figuring shit out, we'll definitely think a lot. If it's guys hanging out, not much is going on. Just
Okay.
unless unless it's supposed to be one of those let's sit around with a cigar and think about shit type moment. But otherwise, we go to our nothing box and just nothing.
Yeah.
That's actually a good one to tell women about. Men have a nothing box.
You have boxes in general,
Yeah,
right?
so So the way a man's brain works is everything is in a box and no boxes touch. You only open up one box at a time. And when you're done with that box, you put it back in and you close it before you open up another one. And our favorite box of all is the nothing box. It's actually how men deal with stress, by thinking about absolutely fucking nothing. And women's brains are essentially a bunch of strings all tied around, and everything's touching. Everything is connected. When women are stressed out, they actually have to talk. So then it starts to connect all the things. And as they're talking, they actually realize what's going on. The biggest mistake men and women have is treating the other the way they would want to be treated. So it's
Yeah.
actually the opposite of what Jesus tells us. Don't treat the other as you would want to be treated. Women, so for men out there, women just need to fucking talk and not get their problem solved. They want to be able to solve their own problem, and they usually figure it the fuck out by just talking. Men, when they're stressed out, they just want to go into their nothing box and think about absolutely nothing. But women go to men and they're like, you want to talk about it? No. What's going on? Nothing. Women, when he says nothing, it's because he's in his nothing box. Literally nothing is going on.
And
That's
I
how,
think it's so hard for us. So women, we're like, oh, he's lying.
right.
He's
So you guys,
withholding because we don't have a
yeah,
nothing
no,
box. Yeah.
we need to go to our nothing box. We'll literally just watch TV like for hours until a certain point when we're like, oh, okay, I feel better. And then we're fine. And then magically, like something, oh, I'm good.
Well,
Or I need to go for a walk and think about nothing.
or I feel like exercise, sports, like these are also other outlets. If you have, I feel like that's stress, right? And if it's emotional, then you may need to like let your emotions out in outlets of physical activity or boys' night or I don't know, things like that, right?
Before that, the nothing box.
Okay.
So anytime shit happens and a guy's upset, he's got to go to his nothing box.
Okay.
That was the biggest realization for me in my whole entire life. Because I'm a problem solver, right? I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm literally a leader. I just solve fucking problems, man. My my last relationship really taught me, men, this is how you deal with women that are stressed out. Go to your nothing box. While they're talking, just go to the nothing box. It's the easiest thing to deal with.
It is. And I notice that for women, there's another piece to this that we have to tell you all about our day or about things that happen. And it's called a berry report because
Yeah, you guys were gathering.
we were gathering berries. And the reason we tell stories in so much detail, and then we go off on a tangent and then I ran into this person. Oh, it was about 2 p.m. and we were standing on this side corner and we give like this insane level of detail for something that doesn't matter at all. And it's because we had to give that amount of detail when we were gathering and finding berries or other food because some of it would be poisonous. And so we had to give that level of detail to the tribe to make sure that whoever went out and gathered the next day or whatever got all the details correct. And it's a sign of trust. When we are giving a full berry report, we give it in that much detail only to the people we trust. And it's compulsive. There are days where I'm just like, I don't need to give the berry report today. And I can't tell him. It's I have to, and it's an act of love. It's an act of saying, I trust you. And for men, you guys are like, this is the longest story with absolutely 0 point. And I do not understand. That's like painful for you guys to listen to.
Yeah. Because it's the way men communicate. Who, what, when, where, why, and how.
And there's a point, and you don't say anything if there's no point, right? Like, there's just
Yeah.
that the whole point of talking is to get across a point.
Because when
So,
men were out, they were hunting, and they had to make sure that they could communicate without speaking as well.
mhm.
I had some friends through the years where we could look at each other and understand what was going on.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
when you develop that level of friendship or connection with someone.
yeah, like,
tot
let's sneak into this place. You couldn't say that out loud because the person's right there, and they understood, right?
Yeah,
From that exchange, understood, go, boom, we're
yeah.
in. Or if there's like a chick right there and I'm like, yo, you should go talk to her, but not say it out loud. It's like,
Yeah, it is really interesting how we communicate differently, and I think that's another piece that women could better understand about men is I know that when I'm talking to my dad or I'm talking to my boyfriend, or I'm talking to my brother or whatever, and I want to give them my berry report, that it's painful for them. And so they'll go to their empty box because they know that's the thing to do. And then sometimes I'll ask a question and they're like, wait, I'm sorry. I wasn't fully listening. Can you repeat the question?
there's a lot of women. If you want to know what we look like internally when we're in our nothing box, uh, it would look like we're in a vegetative state. Like we're not even there.
Yeah, and I used to get so upset because I didn't understand, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, she's not listening to me at all." But I'm just like, "Okay." Like, it's painful for him to sit here and listen to my berry report, and I know all of the men in my life understand the importance of it and the value of it. That's my way of being like, I love you, I trust you, whatever." But they have to go to their empty box. And so I'm not like, they're giving me this gift of letting me share and letting me just go on this whole thing and not giving me solutions. And if there's something really important, then I have to stop and say, hey, there's something really important that I would like your opinion on or that I want to share with you. And then I'll have their undivided attention and
That's
focus.
that is so spot on, especially when men are in their nothing box and you ask them questions like, "Hey, do you want to go do this?" Blah blah blah. They'll answer, huh? Have no recollection that they ever said yes to anything because they were in the nothing box.
Yeah.
And just like you sharing your berry report, us allowing you to be in our presence while we're in our nothing box is also a big deal.
Hmm.
Because normally, when we're in our nothing box, we want nothing to be going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a nice gift to both. Like, I love you.
Totally.
Here's my berry report. I love you too. You can be in my presence while I'm in my nothing box.
Yeah, and I think just having that level of understanding of what the other person needs and being able to give that. And again, ladies, like I recognize how painful it is for a man to listen to a barrier report. If you ask him a question or something and he doesn't remember or he, you know, was spaced out or in his nothing box and he wasn't fully giving you his undivided attention, that doesn't mean that he doesn't care. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. It doesn't mean any of those things. I just laugh now when I like ask a question and I'm like, wait, sorry, what? And I
There's
just
one
laugh
thing.
because I'm like, okay, hold on. I have a question for you. Are,
Yeah.
are you in a place where you can listen to my question?
Yeah. Ladies, it takes a sec because we literally have to put the nothing back in the nothing box, close it up, and then take out active listening.
Yeah.
It's That actually happens. And I can tell you from my experience, one of the things, man, I wish I had more of was just understanding and just being given the benefit of the doubt. Just the benefit of the doubt. If your man's with you, he's chosen you, right?
Yeah.
Benefit of the doubt. He's there because he loves you. He didn't do something because he doesn't care. He did something because he's a simple man. Men are simple.
In some ways, yes. But I think,
All right. What do you think is the most complicated part of men? Let's see if we can make it simple.
okay, no, that's what you do. You make everything simple.
Because we're simple. That's why.
No, because you're practical.
Yeah.
So I actually think, like, the more that I learn about men, I don't necessarily think, what's the word? You're not complicated. Like, you are simple in a lot of ways, and you're still, like, very complex humans with, like, many. So I just don't like it when it's said that, oh, men are simple, and it's almost becomes synonymous with, like, stupid or
Huh.
not hard to figure out. And I actually don't think that. I think for women, it's really hard for us to be able to understand you because we're so different. But I will say that as creatures, like, simple, but also very complex, but not complicated.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
For all of you women out there, you understood that for men. Just go to your nothing box.
Yeah.
You're not complicate. You're not complex. You're not complicated. You're simple but complex, but simple at the same time. And you got all these things going on, but nothing going on.
How
Yeah,
would you describe it? Simple but deep, maybe. That's a better.
I like it. I like it. We've simplified it. See? Practical.
Okay. Great.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. You said something just before we got on that. What were you saying?
I don't know. I was in my flow box. So I just flows through me.
Okay.
Before I said simple,
Yeah.
I got I got nothing. I don't know what I said.
Okay. I wanted to circle back to what we were talking about before we started recording about what men and women care about, because I think that's super interesting. And we touched on it a little bit with appearance, but as I was telling you, I went to lunch with a couple girlfriends earlier this week, and they were telling me how when they were up until quite recently, they had this impression that they had to be super successful and have a lot of money and have all of this kind of achievement, metrics of achievement in order to be attractive to a man. And I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that men really care about how much money women have or how much achievement they have. And so I'd love to hear from you what it is that you think men really care about or look for when dating women specifically.
We talked about appearance, and appearance is very important for most men.
Hmm.
Now, here's also the caveat. Appearance gets you like the first and second date. Unless you're a 10, you're not getting more than 2 dates from at least not a guy that knows who they are and knows what they want.
Yeah.
Uh, Past a date or two, right? I think it's 5-10% of what's important. But it's like the first 5 or 10% that's important,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Totally.
Things men really value is one of the things now I feel like that's really changed, is allowing the guy to be who they are. And that's probably a human thing as well. And nowadays I see like women want the manly man, whatever that is, but they think it's what they see on TV. And then like that also means not showing your emotions and shit, but they want you to show your emotions, but they don't want you to ever cry, or they feel like they're not safe or anything.
I can give
Let's
clarity on this piece.
say that. Feeling like we've got to, for example, I'm very outgoing with men and women. If you ever see me at an event or seminar, I'm getting to know everyone, and I love giving hugs. I can hold space very well for people so they can actually open up very quickly with me. And that's not, a lot of women would not be cool with that. Like me making friends with a new female, for example. And I've heard different theories about this. What should it be? I don't think it should be one thing or another. I think certain people are a certain way and some people are a different way.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm this way, and loving, if you love me because I'm such a loving person and I have all this love to give, you have to love all aspects of that. That doesn't mean I'm showing love to try and get into women's pants, because I'm not
Right.
trying to get into man's pants either. That's
Right.
just in the present moment, shit happens and I'm like there for them and all that stuff. So that was a big thing for me in
Hmm.
past relationships. Men value freedom above all things. So a woman, they feel like, can be there for them and allow them the space. This also goes to being who we are and to go and do shit, right? Like women that are intelligent and can hold a conversation, and I feel like most men do. Women that are have a humor and stuff, can laugh, all those things. And also being feminine is one of the things that's we've lost a little bit with this whole in the workplace. And I'm not saying not to work at all. I think it's awesome that women are working. I think women haven't been taught how to work with their feminine, because if you look at, it was only men that were working, all the systems and everything that were put in place were by men. It's not like men had this evil conspiracy. Men were building the businesses, men were the employees, so the systems got built for masculine energy, right? And when women entered the workforce, they entered those systems and then they started to develop more of their masculine energy. Now, I'm not saying there aren't women that are predominantly masculine, there are. And if we actually look at the population, it might be 10%, probably less.
Yeah.
I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. One
There
of
is
the
a
things,
spectrum, but
yes, one of the things I've noticed is women are like, they haven't learned, maybe if in business you're a little more masculine, to turn it off later on. I've gotten pretty good to the point where even a masculine woman, or in her masculine, I can get her to her feminine. But I had to learn how to do that. And going on dates and meeting women like that, it was a huge turnoff for me. Because let's be honest, women also desire a man in their masculine. If you're in your masculine, he can't be in his masculine. One, only one can be predominantly in their masculine. I'm not saying 100% of the times. A good 80-20 rule is probably usually works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, having similar values. For me specifically, we talked about this before. I want a woman that's ambitious because I'm very ambitious. So someone that's just content with a house and the picket fence and whatever, and a man that just works 9 to 5, comes home, does whatever, mows the lawn. I want to hire people to mow the lawn. I don't feel like mowing the fucking lawn, right? I'm ambitious and I want my queen to be ambitious as well. I want us now, if I end up growing an empire with her, or as I'm growing my empire, I meet a woman that has somewhat of an empire built or whatever, so be it. Whatever it is, however it happens is cool. I'm open to it. For me, though, ambition's pretty big.
I'm curious for you on that point of ambition. Do you want a queen who is also going to take care of kids?
So just because she's ambitious doesn't mean she's working 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
100%. Yeah.
Now, I also want to be present with my son. So I don't want a woman that's working 50, 60 hours. No. Family dynamics have changed. So I'm interested to see how that starts to play out. I'd like for Luca to be involved, maybe like some homeschooling at some point.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be my partner. That can be someone we hire. We can also leverage kid time with grandparents. They're great resources if you have them.
Yeah.
I would like for her to be present with children. Yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean taking care of them 100% of the time? No.
No. And like you said, I know for myself, I'm super ambitious and I'm really figuring out how to build what I'm building with feminine energy because there are not role models for this. There are not systems and structures already in place. And I'm like, let's figure it out because for me, have discovered after spending so much time now in my feminine energy, which we all have both masculine and feminine, and we move between them. But everyone, I would say, generally speaking, has a percentage point where they hang out in. When I'm probably a solid 80-20 myself, like feminine energy to masculine. I'm pretty feminine. And so it takes a lot of energy for me to be in masculine. It just wipes me like completely out. And yeah, but you can be ambitious and feminine for sure. It's just we don't see that often, right? I'm trying to figure out what that looks like now. I'm sure there are other women who are probably trying to figure that out too, but it sounds like that's what you want is a woman who is ambitious and can share that dream and drive to achieve big things and also be feminine while doing it.
1000%. That's
Okay.
exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Um, and sometimes I've had the feminine energy, but not really the ambition. Sometimes the ambition, not really feminine.
It's rare that they mix.
I I actually think naturally women are that way. They live in a system and they've been programmed away to get them away from that.
Yeah. 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 I think I don't think that ambition is tied to masculine or feminine at all. I think there are just some people who are more ambitious than others, and that's just more innate. But I think that because of the last, we could say, century, it's been quite a long evolution of women becoming more masculine. We execute ambition in a masculine way because that's what we know.
Yeah, that's
And
what all the
and
were written by men, right?
right.
All the role models that achieved were men. Like the women that achieve shit though in a masculine way.
Right.
Like look at the UK. Talk about she out masculine the most masculine leaders in the world. Impressive.
Totally. Totally. And so I think that women, generally speaking, in today's day and age, if they're super ambitious, they're probably also heavily in their masculine energy because that's what they've known. And then women who are more feminine have probably had the luxury, in a sense, of developing or being more in that energy because they are less ambitious. So yeah, that's what I mean is that's probably what it looks like mostly today, even though that's not true to who we
Yeah,
actually are. Yeah.
1000%. I'm not here to tell anyone that they're good, bad, or ugly.
No. We're
Or
all perfect. We're all having our own journey and evolution and
Mhm.
learning and doing our best. We're
I think
aving.
in the last 5 years, you guys have started to understand maybe starting a portion of the population is starting to get back to that feminine and striving to build from that energy.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to even think of economically or as a country, we've pretty much been operating from one energy. Imagine when we've got both energies harmonized together, we'll be able to exponentially grow as a
Yeah.
society.
Totally. I hope that happens in our lifetime.
I tell them I'm looking to get to 200. So with the advances in technology, AI, and everything, it's not unreasonable to think we can't get to a buck 50 at least.
Oh my gosh. What do you think
But
about
you
the
got to realize we're the graceful agers. We'll get there gracefully.
I know. I'm panicked about all of this because of the loss of human connection. And I feel like it's very masculine. And there's so many more men that I know who are excited about all the technology and all the AI and all the cool things that are happening. And I love that. I think it's great. And I'm like, I think the women are over here. No, but we're losing human connection.
This is the way I see it.
Okay.
And maybe this will help. I believe with AI and technology, when we use it the right way, and I think there's a fine line between using it to enhance humans as opposed to replace humans.
Mm.
I trust that we're going to go more in the enhancing human side.
Okay.
We'll literally be 10, 20 times more productive. So we can literally get 5, 10 times more done in half the day. And we'll be able to free up more time, create more time for connecting, for the things we love to do, for all the things. And I think this is actually going to help us become superhuman. So then we can get more of the experience and come back to the connection. I also believe that's from a not so much technology, it's from a urban development standpoint. The cities in the US, because when you go abroad, there's a lot more connection happening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's because of how cities, towns, and everything was built. In the US, it's been built in such a way where no one walks. It's not walkable. Those of you that don't know, I was born in Italy. When I was talking to my mom about the thing she misses the most about Italy, it's actually having the small, consistent interactions with, because there you still have the bread makers, right? You can literally, there's a store, like we call them bakeries here, but there's only in Italy, there's a store only for bread.
Yeah.
That's Italians like their bread,
Yeah.
right? Then you have Starbucks got its business model modeling Italian cafes. And on every block, you've got 2 cafes. And people go there at the same time every single day. They see the same people. They say hi. They make jokes. They might talk about, if you're a guy, you'll talk about sports. If you're a woman, you'll talk about whatever. They're not super deep connections, but those are like even connecting the small ways.
Yeah.
In the US, we haven't built towns and cities, and from what little we did have, we've gotten away from it for the most part.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why cities like Austin or other things maybe attract people more, because there's more of that community and it might be built a little bit better to house community. But it's crazy to think that you've got these huge apartment buildings where you've got hundreds of apartments and people don't know each other.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
That's true.
So I'd like to think, or at least in my mind, you get what you focus on, right? So what I focus on is technology is here to actually enhance us, make us more productive, to then create the space and the time to connect more and get back to the more human interaction portion of it.
Okay. Well, I love that concept. I'm here for that.
And in reality, yeah, there are aspects to technology that's taking connection away.
Yeah.
Did you know in Japan, they actually essentially, some people don't even have relationships, but they've leveraged every aspect of a relationship with different things. So you can there are places where you can pay someone to cuddle with you.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. I'm like,
Well,
what?
and I've heard of this even being started more in the Western world now too. From something I hear from a lot of men is the loneliness epidemic that they're facing and not having intimacy or physical touch and things like that. It's so much easier for women to get it, either from friends
1000%.
or even like for women, if we want sex, not that
You can
hard,
go
you
on
know?
a woman can go on an app, sign up today, go on an app and have a date tonight.
Yeah, 100%. And for
I like to think
men,
I'm a good looking guy, and
yeah.
I even know how to talk and write shit. And I can tell you, I think I downloaded them after the relationship,
Mhm.
and it's gotten since before my relationship and after. I'm like, holy shit, is it even harder? I actually needed a whole strategy. Most women don't even go on the thing. They'll put their Instagram handle, and then you got
Mhm.
to go on Instagram. I'm like, oh God, this is a part-time job. I'm not here for it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think also for men, like dating apps are super emasculating because there's no feedback loop, right? So you just get rejected and there's no feedback loop. And if you stay stuck in that, it's super debilitating.
very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, but yeah, I think a lot of men are dealing with that lack of physical touch and just intimacy in general right now. And so I've heard of this, like the cuddle pieces where you can go and cuddle someone or have someone come cuddle you in Japan. I've heard of people getting into that here in the Western world as well.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Hmm.
bad.
Thinking, making me think of a business model now.
The serial
Now that we
entrepreneur
talk-
strikes again.
Now I know my next venture.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. I was just going to say, what is it that, thank you for sharing like things that you're looking for in a partner that you want to have. And I'm curious to understand, what is it that men get the most out of being in partnership? Is it that physical touch and that that physical intimacy? Is it, I always equate feminine energy to, my perception of it is that it's like gasoline for a car. And so when you have that in a relationship and you're constantly getting that, your gas tank filled up to go back out into the world and create shit and do whatever.
Mhm.
Um, what, yeah, what are those things that you think are most valuable to men in relationship?
I can speak from my personal experience and from what I've seen. The most confident men are usually the ones where shit's going well in bed and then shit's going well at work. And when you're consistently getting that dose of gasoline, it like makes you a better version of you in all the other areas.
Mm.
Just the there's the book Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill actually talks about sexual energy is fuel. Like
Mm.
most of the innovations men come up with have been to try and get a woman or other things of that nature. I think women also provide us with the ultimate feedback loop. Like women, if you've got the right partner, they always want you to be better. And even if you're in a relationship with a woman that's maybe a little bit more toxic, you'll still get all the areas you can still improve, whether you like it or not. It's always, you guys are always there to elevate us to the next level.
Mm.
And then, yes, to fuel it. Now, the thing about gasoline is if you put it in a car, it works. If there's a fire and then you throw gasoline on it, you get a bigger fire. So that analogy and metaphor can also be used about healthy feminine energy versus more toxic feminine energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes men have a fucking fire going on. You don't want to throw your gasoline on them. That's
Yeah.
when your man's down or feels down, that's not when you then tell him all the other ways he can improve, right?
Right.
Or build him back up and then, hey, here's also how you can improve.
Yeah. And what are the best ways for us to build men back up?
You know what? Supporting us, especially when we fuck up. And that's sometimes difficult because, and I'm not saying this as fuck you guys, although in the moment, it's a fuck you guys. A man can do 100 things. The way the feminine brain works is sometimes it's very present. After 100 things that they do well, they fuck up one thing. For a woman, they completely forget about whatever just happened. And the only thing that matters right now is you fucked up. Now, if we've done 100 things well, and then we fuck up once, usually we can take it. If we have a string of bad luck, if we have a string of a few fuck ups, that's when we need you guys to realize we need help.
Mm.
If I had to guess why men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, it's because they feel like they don't have support, especially in those moments. Because I've had my moments of borderline suicidal thoughts. And it's when you feel like the whole world's on your shoulders and the whole world's trying to beat you down. And that's the very last thing you need is your woman to beat you down.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're building all of it for us.
Correct.
Would you like to speak into that a little bit?
How we build it all for you guys? We
Yeah,
build
which
it
I
for
still
ourselves.
think is,
But girls don't like boys, they like cars and money. So it's just I didn't say it. It was a great philosopher group called Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
Back to the word thing, I think there is some aspect of a woman's worth. There's some of the attractiveness to it, being in the feminine energy and all of that. When you think of value, like how do you value a man or the masculine energy, a lot of it is achievement.
Yeah.
That's the masculine energy. Masculine energy wants to solve problems, achieve shit, build. It's what we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we're building, most of the time it's, yeah, for ourselves, and probably very unconsciously, it's because we need to, from an evolutionary standpoint, we need to procreate. And the way we do that is by being more valuable.
Yeah. And it is really interesting because for me, and I know for a lot of other women, confidence is, right, like we've established, the most attractive quality for men and women. But I think for women, like maybe the hottest quality about a man is competence. Because and there's this, all women, again, are different in kind of what they want overall. A lot of women already want a man who's super successful, has built wealth, and has a lot of achievement. And that's fine. That's great. And then there's some women who want to build or be there and support a man through his building. And we don't, I say we because that I'm in that camp. Like we don't care about the achievement or the wealth or success like in this given moment, but then we're judging men based on their level of competence, right?
Know why?
Because they can build it. Exactly.
So the success it's a showcase. This is how competent I am.
Right.
Otherwise, you might need a demo and you might have to understand the way they think to realize they're competent and they can get there.
Right.
But it's because they can get there.
Totally. Totally. And it makes us feel safe.
Correct.
So if I'm with a man who's super competent, then I'm like, great. Like I don't have to always be in that role, or there's a lot of things that I know he'll be able to figure out, or yeah, it just makes me feel more safe that whatever life throws our way, like he's not going to crumble. He has the skills and to keep me safe and a family safe or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But it's so interesting the difference in what we value.
Two biggest values, masculine values, freedom, feminine values, safety.
Yeah.
So essentially what we end up looking for in all the other things that we value are probably sub-values that main thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the feminine, I would say opposite of freedom is love. Not opposite, but complement, I guess I should say. The core feminine value is love, but I think as women, safety definitely has to come before love.
I We also have freedom because the way we get to love is through freedom.
Yeah.
The way you guys get to love is through feeling safe and secure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go.
I think we just solved all of life's problems.
Yeah, this is the only podcast episode you ever got to listen to. So
You're welcome. Is there anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap up?
I don't know. Anything else you want to touch on?
I have a few questions for you.
Go ahead. Throw them out there.
All right. What is the best thing that another man has ever done for you?
What is the best thing another man ever? Best thing in what way would you say? Just or you're leaving it pretty broad for a reason.
I'm leaving it broad.
Best thing a man has ever done for. What's coming up for me is show me the way.
Okay.
So I guess mentors showing the way, teaching me, always very, I'm always very thirsty for knowledge. And my father also had me when he was 52. So for you guys that don't understand, when I was 18, he was 70. And there was always, I think he just thought that my mom was going to teach me shit because I lived with my mom most of the time. So I didn't really have someone to show me the way. Show me the way with, like, how do you do relationshiping? That's some, I, I didn't have the model growing up. I had to learn that.
Mm.
How do you get to wealth? My father had wealth and then lost it before I came about. So I had to learn that. So I would say, show me the way.
Yeah. Cool. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
In relationships or general, get what you focus on. And you can use that in any area of life.
Yeah. Is there a piece of advice specific to relationships that you think has really benefited you?
Get what you focus.
Yeah.
The biggest game changer for me was understanding women needed to vent, and me trying to solve their problem was actually creating more problems.
Mm.
That was biggest game changer. Men, go into your nothing box and let them vent.
Please
Yeah. Yeah.
let us shower you with our berry report.
Berry report, if they've got shit going on that they need to process, that's the thing. They need to process it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You're just there as a soundboard. So go into your nothing box.
Yeah.
Yep. They did that. Oh. Yep. So I need to do.
Totally. Yeah, that is exactly what we need. We'll come to our own conclusion. And if then at that point, after we've come to our own conclusion, after our own processing, if we want help or advice, we will ask.
Or if you're not sure, ask. Is this something you'd help with? Or are you just looking to vent?
Yeah, yeah. It's a good one. What is the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
You've got to put in the work. And let me explain in what way, more from a relationship standpoint, that you could end up being with the person that's you're not meant to be with. Or maybe you're meant to be with them for a temporary amount of time. But you've putting in the work isn't going to make it the relationship you've always wanted. And I can't speak from my own experience. I can speak from friends of mine whom have had, great relationships for a very long time. They say when you do find that person, it just feels so much easier. Like you don't have to work that hard through it. And I always thought you had to work that hard through it, which is what I did until I realized it just wasn't meant to be,
Mm.
or at least not meant to be anymore.
Yeah. I think I relate to the sentiment, and I think that men and women experience it very differently because I've heard from a lot of men when they feel like they've found the person that they want as a life partner, it does seem to be there's this ease about it. And yeah, of course, relationships take work, like all
Yeah, I'm
relationships.
not saying you don't need to do work.
But it's like the pushing, right? Or like forcing or like the extra amount of work and effort.
How it doesn't have to, oh, every day, every week, putting in the work.
It shouldn't feel like, yeah, like a burden or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the work that comes with in a relationship, in theory, it's not hard work because you want to do it. Yeah. But I think that's true for men and women. But I think that, yeah, men experience a different type of ease, and women, we don't, I think we relate to it a bit more in safety, probably.
Mhm.
But yeah, that it is easier and more organic. But yeah, I think it's just a little bit different feelings,
Yeah.
of course.
Let me also, can I say something to the women out there?
Yeah, please.
If you don't feel safe internally, no man will ever make you feel safe fully.
That's a really good point. You
And
really have to
if
take
you don't,
responsibility. Yeah.
and if men, you don't feel like you are free, every relationship will feel stifling. I know for me, especially, I was a serial not get in a relationshiper kind of person. And later on, I realized it's because I didn't think one could be free in a relationship.
Mm.
So I manifested that through not getting in relationships. And when I finally put out there that I wanted to be in a relationship, I manifested the relationship that felt the most stifling, burdening, and the least freeing. So it also comes from within.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to take responsibility for healing that within ourselves first. And yeah, nobody else can fix that for us,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Yep. That doesn't
Fortunately
mean
or unfortunately.
that doesn't mean you can't heal with someone, but understanding that you've got that with the awareness is powerful because you don't expect them to do it for you.
Yeah.
I
There's
don't feel
no
safe. Well, that's it.
outsourcing.
I don't feel safe because you don't feel secure. Like it's not a me thing. It's not a me being me thing. That's a you. Will men fuck up and do some dumb shit once in a while? 1000%.
Yeah.
And we'll own up to it. We'll apologize. But that doesn't mean that every single thing that you feel like is you not feeling safe and secure is because of what the man did.
Totally. I was really faced with this at the beginning of the relationship I'm in now, and recognizing that I wasn't feeling safe in some ways, and 100%, I didn't even tell him because it had nothing to do with him. And objectively, I could look at what was happening in my external world and say, nothing wrong is happening. Everything is great. He's not doing anything that I want him to do differently. And so what's happening is my own trauma or my own shit from the past or whatever that I get to heal on my own. And I mean, you can ask for help too, totally. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's important to be able to recognize when it's just something within yourself that you take responsibility for, or whether there's something external happening, but being mindful that those are very different things.
Agreed.
Yeah. Relationships, man. I think it is that relationships and being an entrepreneur are like the biggest extreme sport.
So I tell everyone, if you ever want like the most crazy personal development course ever, be an entrepreneur, get in an intimate relationship, and have a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll be shown all of your shit. You'll have plenty of opportunities for growth. The ultimate, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on how you've evolved in fatherhood, but I feel like it's gonna have to be another podcast.
Just stay tuned for the next episode, guys.
Where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you're doing, connect?
One of my passion projects right now is I started a club for millennial entrepreneurs. If you're interested, millennialfounders.com. Got tons of free resources. How we touched upon women haven't been taught how to do business in a feminine way. I feel millennials haven't been taught how to do business in a millennial way. And this is a community for us to learn that way. There's a free course called Get 40 Hours of Work Done in 20 Hours or Less. So getting you more and more efficient, because millennials are more efficient than most other generations, and that's why they've labeled us as lazy. So doing all that, but I would say millennialfounders.com. That's what I'm most excited about right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here and having this conversation with me, David. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me. And I always like to thank all the listeners, because if you're at this point, you've actually listened to the whole entire episode. So thank you for staying with us. Thank you for investing in yourself. And thank you for always be evolving.
Amazing.